What if the key to a fulfilling life isn't just in deep thoughts or endless meditation, but in the quiet power of action, guided by practical wisdom? This is where Stoicism steps in. It teaches us that true spirituality isn't about rejecting the world, but embracing it with clarity and purpose. It's about finding strength in the face of chaos, acting with intention, and maintaining balance. The journey isn't about leaving behind the everyday grind. It's about transforming it through disciplined action and mindful reflection. In this 5-chapter video, we'll explore how to harness the principles of Stoicism to create a life where spirituality and action are not opposites, but partners in your path to growth. This isn't about lofty ideals, it's about practical steps to thrive in the real world, with all its messiness and beauty. So, let's take a deep breath, ground ourselves, and dive into a journey where every step forward is as grounded as it is inspired. Chapter 1. The Fog of Uncertainty. Have you ever looked around and wondered if you've outgrown your own life, like you're a spectator at a show you used to enjoy, but now it just feels off? This unsettling feeling is often the precursor to something deeper, an awakening of sorts, where the reality you've been living starts to feel like a poorly fitted suit. This is where your spiritual journey begins, not in grand revelations, but in quiet, persistent questions. When you find yourself in this fog, you might be surrounded by friends, immersed in familiar routines, yet you feel disconnected, like you're existing on a different frequency. This is the beginning of a spiritual shift, where the old frameworks of meaning no longer suffice, and the search for something more authentic begins. From a Stoic perspective, this fog of uncertainty is an opportunity rather than a misfortune. The Stoics believed in embracing life's challenges as pathways to growth. They taught that true contentment comes not from external circumstances, but from understanding and aligning with one's inner self. This period of disconnection is a chance to examine what truly matters, shedding the superficial layers that no longer serve you. Psychologically, this phase can be likened to the concept of liminality, a transitional period where the old identity is shed, but the new one has yet to form. Research by Victor Turner highlighted that such liminal states, though uncomfortable, are crucial for personal transformation. It's like the space between breaths, where the potential for new life exists. So, how do you navigate this fog without getting lost in it? First, understand that it's a natural and necessary part of growth. Life isn't meant to be a straight path. It's a series of twists, turns, and pauses. The fog is your chance to pause, reflect, and recalibrate. Instead of fighting it, try to sit with it. Ask yourself what feels off and why. What parts of your life feel hollow, and what might you need to let go of to find deeper fulfillment. Second, focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. The Stoics emphasize the power of inner resilience. Even when external circumstances are uncertain, you can cultivate a sense of calm by focusing on your inner world. Lastly, be patient with yourself. This fog will lift, but not all at once. Each small step you take, each moment of clarity, brings you closer to a more authentic version of yourself. Embrace the uncertainty as a part of the journey, not a detour, and trust that with time and reflection, you'll emerge with a clearer, more purposeful sense of direction. Chapter 2. The Isolation Paradox. You're surrounded by people, laughter, and conversation, yet it feels like you're an outsider looking in. This sensation is common during a spiritual awakening, where the things that used to connect you to others now seem hollow or superficial. As your inner world shifts, the external world can start to feel foreign. The topics that once sparked your interest, gossip, small talks, or even lighthearted debates, might now feel trivial. It's not that you've become aloof or indifferent, it's that your perspective is evolving. You crave deeper connections and more meaningful conversations, but those around you may not be on the same path. This paradox of feeling isolated in the midst of connection is something the Stoics understood well. They believed that true companionship comes from shared values and a deeper understanding of life. When you embark on a journey of self-discovery, it's natural to feel distanced from those who remain tethered to the surface level of existence. Psychologically, this feeling of isolation can be explained through existential isolation. a term that describes the inherent separation between individuals due to the uniqueness of each person's experience. As you grow and evolve, this sense of isolation can intensify as you realize that others may not understand or share your new perspectives. The key to navigating this paradox is to embrace the solitude without resentment. Solitude isn't a curse, it's a space for growth. In Stoic thought, Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of self-reliance and the value of being at peace with oneself, even in solitude. This doesn't mean shunning others, but finding strength and contentment within. During this phase, it's essential to seek out connections that resonate with your evolving self. This might mean finding new communities or deepening relationships with those who share your quest for meaning. It's about quality over quantity, seeking those rare connections that leave you feeling understood and uplifted. While this phase can be lonely, it's temporary. As you continue to grow, you'll attract people who align with your new values and perspectives. They may be fewer in number, but the depth of these relationships will far surpass the surface-level interactions you once had. In the meantime, embrace the solitude as a sacred space for self-reflection and transformation, knowing that the connections you crave will come when the time is right. Chapter 3: Dark Side of Empathy. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by emotions that aren't even your own? It's as if you've become a magnet for the world's pain, joy, and everything in between. This heightened sensitivity often accompanies a spiritual awakening, where your empathy deepens to a level you might not have thought possible. Suddenly, the sadness of a stranger, the struggles of a friend, or even the plight of a distant community can weigh on you as if they were your own burdens. This isn't just emotional, it's almost physical, a sense of carrying the collective weight of the world. In psychological terms, this can be linked to empathic distress, where excessive empathy can lead to emotional exhaustion or burnout. From a Stoic perspective, the challenge isn't in feeling deeply, but in learning how to manage these emotions without being consumed by them. The Stoics emphasize the importance of emotional resilience, understanding that while we can't control the suffering of others, we can control how we respond to it. They advocated for a balance, acknowledging the pain without allowing it to overwhelm. Empathy is a double-edged sword. While it allows you to connect deeply with others, it also leaves you vulnerable to their suffering. The key is to cultivate a compassionate detachment, a space where you can feel and understand the emotions of others without being dragged under by them. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent, but developing a healthy boundary that protects your well-being. One way to achieve this balance is through grounding practices, such as mindfulness or meditation. These practices help you stay centered, allowing you to observe emotions without becoming entangled in them. Engaging in activities that replenish your energy, whether it's a creative hobby, physical exercise, or time in nature, can also help you process and release the emotional weight you carry. It's also crucial to remember that you can't save everyone. The Stoics believed in focusing on what is within your control. While you can offer support and kindness, the ultimate responsibility for change lies with each individual. By accepting this, you free yourself from the burden of trying to fix everything, allowing you to offer help in a way that is sustainable and effective. In this phase, empathy becomes a tool for growth, pushing you to expand your compassion and understanding. But it's also a reminder to care for yourself, to recognize that your well-being is just as important as the well-being of others. By finding this balance, you can transform empathy from a source of exhaustion into a wellspring of strength and connection. Chapter 4: Action-Oriented Mindset. Who are you without your roles, titles, and the stories you've told yourself? This question often looms large during a spiritual awakening, leading to what feels like the crumbling of your very identity. The self you once knew, a collection of job titles, hobbies, and beliefs, begins to feel like a fragile facade. This experience can be unsettling, akin to standing at the edge of an abyss, unsure of what lies beyond. In psychological terms, this is often referred to as an identity crisis, a state where you question your sense of self and your place in the world. It's a natural part of human development, especially during periods of significant change or growth. From a Stoic viewpoint, this phase is an opportunity for profound transformation. The Stoics believed that our true essence isn't found in external labels or possessions, but in our inner character and virtue. Epictetus famously taught that we should not be defined by things beyond our control, but by our ability to live in accordance with reason and virtue. During this identity collapse, you may feel lost or untethered, as if you're wandering through a fog with no clear direction. The roles that once anchored you now feel restrictive, like costumes that no longer fit. This can lead to feelings of confusion, fear, or even grief for the self you're leaving behind. However, this deconstruction is necessary for growth. It's a process of shedding the false layers to reveal a more authentic self, one that isn't bound by societal expectations or superficial labels. In this space of uncertainty, there is immense potential for self-discovery and renewal. To navigate this phase, adopt an action-oriented mindset. Instead of being paralyzed by the ambiguity, use it as a springboard for deliberate action. The Stoics believed in taking control of what you can and letting go of what you can't. Focus on the actions that align with your values and the kind of person you wish to become. Start by defining the core principles that resonate with you. What virtues do you want to embody? What kind of legacy do you wish to build? Once these are clear, take small, consistent steps that reflect these values in your daily life. For instance, if integrity is important to you, ensure your actions, even in the smallest matters, reflect honesty and fairness. Action is what grounds your identity. Each intentional choice solidifies a self that is not defined by external labels, but by the character you build through your deeds. In moments of uncertainty, lean into actions that align with your deeper values, knowing that identity is not a static concept, but a dynamic process of becoming. Embrace the discomfort as a necessary part of growth. By continuously engaging with life through purposeful actions, you not only rebuild your identity, but also strengthen your resolve and clarity. Your identity becomes a reflection of your actions, not just your thoughts, leading to a more resilient and authentic sense of self. Chapter 5. The Discipline. As you rebuild your identity through action, the challenge becomes maintaining a balance between introspection and outward engagement. It's tempting to either immerse yourself entirely in spiritual practices or become so focused on external achievements that you neglect the inner work. However, true growth lies in the equilibrium between these realms. Spirituality, when not grounded in action, can drift into abstraction, offering insights without application. Conversely, relentless action without reflection can lead to burnout or a sense of disconnection from your deeper self. The key is to weave these two aspects into a cohesive whole where each informs and enhances the other. The Stoics exemplified this balance through their philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and a dedicated Stoic, managed to rule with wisdom while remaining deeply introspective. His meditations reveal a man constantly reflecting on his duties, ensuring his actions aligned with his philosophical principles. For the Stoics, philosophy was practical, a guide for living well, not just thinking well. To achieve this balance, discipline is essential. Discipline isn't about rigidly adhering to a schedule or set of rules, but about consistently choosing actions that serve your higher purpose. It's about knowing when to act and when to pause, when to engage with the world and when to retreat into reflection. Begin by structuring your day to include both moments of stillness and periods of purposeful action. Mornings could be dedicated to meditation or journaling, setting a reflective tone for the day. Afternoons might focus on work or other activities where you bring your reflections to life through action. Evenings can serve as a time for review, where you assess your actions and their alignment with your values. Cultivating this rhythm helps prevent the extremes of overthinking or overdoing. It ensures that your spiritual insights are translated into meaningful contributions and that your actions remain rooted in a clear, reflective foundation. Balance also involves self-awareness. Regularly check in with yourself to assess whether you're leaning too heavily in one direction. Are you using spiritual practices as an escape from life's challenges? Or are you so caught up in doing that you've lost touch with your inner self? Adjust accordingly, knowing that balance is a dynamic process, not a fixed state. This integration of thought and action fosters resilience and adaptability. When challenges arise, you're equipped to handle them not just with intellectual understanding, but with practical wisdom. Your spirituality becomes a lived experience, enriching your actions, while your actions reinforce and deepen your spiritual insights. In the end, this disciplined balance transforms spirituality into a guiding force that propels you forward. It becomes a steady anchor amidst life's changes, allowing you to engage fully with the world while staying true to your inner compass. Through this harmony of being and doing, you cultivate a life of purpose, depth, and fulfillment, embodying the best of both introspection and action. This is the end of this video. Now I must be grateful for what you guys do for this channel. These likes and comments are lifeblood for this channel. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for watching.